everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is all about tiny habits you can build to simplify your life. If you're new, my name's Annika. I'm a writer, author, and blogger, and I'm deeply passionate about the idea of intentional living. For me, building a life around the things that actually matter to me is the driving force behind pretty much everything that I do. I'm newly married, I'm a Christian, but I make content for anyone who's trying to build a purposeful life, and if that's you, this is the video you're gonna wanna watch. I'm not a minimalist, but the practice of actively simplifying my life and eliminating both physical things and also commitments and relationships and overall just parts of my life that aren't adding to it or aligned with the overall vision that I want for it has been one of the best things I've ever done. That extra time allows me to actually rededicate my resources and my energy to what actually matters to me. This is something I've been really actively doing for about 3 years now, and it has changed my life in more ways than I can count. These 10 habits are things that I've either done or I'm currently working on, and I'm really excited to share them with you. Prepare for your day the night before. I work from home and I set my own schedule, so this looks a little bit different for me than it does for most people, but what I found is that planning things ahead, even if it's just like my outfit, what I'm gonna eat the next day, if I need to make lunch for my husband or whatever, anything I need to get done in the morning, I will do as much of it as I can the night before, particularly when it comes to making decisions. Decision fatigue is a real thing. It's actually really, really fascinating, and you have the most decision-making power right at the beginning of the day. This ability gets depleted over the course of the day, so the fewer decisions you have to make right out of the gate, the better. This might be making your lunch, writing out a to-do list, getting out your clothes for the gym. Another big part of this for me is intentionally setting myself up for success with little other habits I'm trying to build. For example, if I want to spend time reading my Bible the next morning, I will leave that out along with my favorite coffee cup and maybe a cozy blanket so that when I get up in the morning, I'm going to see that and it'll look inviting to me. Another habit that I'm currently trying to build is going for a run or working out in the morning. So I might lay out my workout clothes so that that's sitting out. And again, not only will I be reminded of it, but it'll feel more appealing to me. Develop a morning routine. So obviously that kind of ties into the last one. I actually have a morning routine up on my channel, so I'll link that for you. But overall, I have been consciously trying to build a morning routine with my husband since we got married, and it's been so life-giving and one of the most fun parts of our marriage. I really, really enjoy spending that time together right off the bat. And even before we were married, I had kind of a morning routine that, while I was not perfect, and we're still not perfect at doing this every single day, but in my experience, it sets you up for so much success when you can build a routine right out of the gate, first thing in the day, based around those things that matter to you. It kind of reinforces your priorities, and it's so worthwhile. In that time, one habit that I think is really important to build is slowing down first thing in the day. I'm currently working on trying not to go on my phone right away, which I'll be honest with you, I'm really struggling with. My tendency is to just grab my phone first thing and go on it, which I really don't like. And I want my mornings to be slower, more peaceful, and more centered on spending time with the Lord, spending time with my husband, and just like getting myself in a good mindset for the day, because when I do that, it feels so much better. It really, really does. So I'm really working on that right now. Okay, changing direction a little bit here. Check your calendar before saying yes to anything. Your friend wants to grab a drink next week? Check your calendar. You get invited to go to a concert this weekend? Check your calendar. And don't just check to see if you have something else booked, but actually look at your whole week, month, season in life before you accept commitment. I am the queen of overcommitment, and I have often tended to accept more than I can reasonably manage, which results in me feeling completely exhausted, completely depleted, and having to cancel on people that I care about after making commitments to them. It does not go well. Setting boundaries over your own time and mental well-being is so important, both to the health of your relationships and your own mental health. You also don't have to say yes to everything, and you don't have to say yes to things right away. It's okay to say, let me check my schedule, or I'm gonna need to check my calendar and get back to you. Or even just, you know what, I have a lot going on this week. Could we schedule something in advance for a few weeks down the road? I really want to spend this time with you, but I need to make sure I have time to rest as well. If you use a calendar, and I highly recommend you do, I just use Google Calendar, like nothing fancy. It's free, it works. Intentionally schedule blocks of time that either you're going to spend alone and or with your partner or your best friend or really, really important relationships in your life. Take the time to schedule it into your calendar and make sure that it happens. This is so freaking important. In my experience, things like spending time alone, being alone with your own thoughts, or spending time with your spouse is really easy to just assume it's always an option. You live in the same house or you're always with yourself, so obviously you have access to those things all of the time. But if you're scheduling things for yourself every night of the week, you don't have access to that. And that can very easily become a completely overwhelming process that is just going to end up biting you in the butt. Put those dates in your calendar and stick to them. Do not break. This next one I also would recommend scheduling, but it does kind of become a mindset over time, and that is to regularly stop, pause, reflect on your life, and ask yourself if your life, time, and relationships genuinely reflect the things that matter the most to you. Now, I could go on about this forever. I literally wrote a book all about intentional living because I think it's so important, and it's really important to hear when you're young. This is a side note, but the whole inspiration behind my journey on intentional living and my writing my book, I was reading this article about people who got to the end of their lives and essentially realized that they had made a lot of choices that they thought were the ones that they wanted to make, but they realize now they made choices that they thought were expected of them, and it scared the crap out of me. And since writing my book, I've told that story a lot to different people, and I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to in their 40s, 50s, or 60s who have stared at me, dropped their jaw, and said, I think that just explains the last couple decades of my life. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do and why I feel so strongly about intentional living. Set reminders in your phone for the habits you're trying to build. Okay, for everything on this list and any other habits or goals that you have, put reminders in your phone, stick Post-its up on the wall, stick a reminder in your car, put physical, visible reminders anywhere and everywhere that you can. This is so underrated to me. I think one thing that I've realized in the last few years is that I used to kind of have this expectation for myself of like, oh, I need to have this figured out right immediately, or I need to just build this habit, have it be instinctual. I should want to do this every day. I should remember how to do this every day. But if you're trying to change your life, especially if you're trying to build habits, you are literally trying to rewire your brain. And that's going to take some time, and that's totally fine. And you need to have grace for yourself in that area if you really want to succeed. The best way to do that is to set yourself up for success as much as possible. And a great way to do that is to give yourself visible reminders that you cannot ignore. Minimize your wardrobe. I've been working on this for the last few years. I think it's kind of an ongoing process for me. Let me tell you, it feels so good. I've stopped buying things just because they were a good deal, and I've only added pieces to my wardrobe that A, I love, B, I know I can get a lot of good wear out of, and C, go with almost everything else in my closet. This is one of the most colorful things that I own, and I'm not even kidding. I am a neutral girl through and through. This is really me stepping out of my comfort zone. When I dyed my hair red, it is not even a little bit real. That was like a total shock to my system because I was like, there's so much color on my body. I was blonde before. And like, it sounds dramatic, but it's actually made my life so much easier because I know that pretty much all of my tops go with pretty much all of my pants, and all of my dresses go with all of my jackets, at least color-wise. And like, it's so nice. And also having less options has been really great because it saves me time, it saves me space, it saves me energy in terms of like washing, drying, laundry, brain power in terms of thinking about what to wear, making choices. Like it is 10 million times better. Close the kitchen every night. This idea I first heard from Milena Ciciotti, who I absolutely love, and I am currently working on this a lot right now. I think it's such a cool idea. Essentially, the principle is that at the end of every night, you close your kitchen. So you do all your dishes, you load up your dishwasher, you put everything away, and then once it's closed, it's done for the night. Starting the day with like a clean house is such a good feeling. If you've been around for a bit, you know that we just moved, and so our place is like very chaotic right now, which has been really hard for me and not great for me mentally. We're finally making progress, which is good, but I'm really, really looking forward to having that done. Finally, last but not least, this is a hot one. I am coming in strong. Embrace exclusivity. Let me explain what I mean. One of the most important principles that I've learned in my journey of intentional living, and something I talked a lot about in the book, is the problem of exclusivity. And it's something that I think culturally a lot of us are very uncomfortable with the idea of. Choosing one option or one path and going all in on it, it feels awkward. We're sort of wired to want to keep our options open and to want to explore without actually committing. And don't get me wrong, I get it. I have been there. The problem is that by making any choice in your life, you're automatically, by default, not choosing everything else. When I started dating my husband, I was choosing not to date other people. When I said yes to marrying him, I was choosing not to marry other people. And I'm so glad I made those choices. And that's true of any choice you make in life. When you take a job, you're choosing not to take another one. When you spend your evening reading a book, you're choosing not to watch Netflix. This is an inevitability of the life that we live. So rather than fighting it or avoiding it or running from it, what would happen if we just embraced it and we got comfortable with the idea of being picky and selective about who and what we let into our lives? What if, instead of trying to keep our options open and letting everything and everyone in, we figured out what was absolutely the most important things to us, we developed our priorities, and then we just went all in on those? I honestly think everyone would be a lot happier. I think we would feel more fulfilled. I think we would be living more into our purpose and like what we're meant to do. That's been my own experience, and I think it's true for a lot of people. Those are 10 habits to build to simplify your life. I really hope you enjoyed this video on 10 habits to build to simplify your life. You can find my book Out of the Habit on Amazon, or you can find more videos right here on my channel. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for more exciting life updates coming soon, and follow me as I pursue a life of meaning and purpose. I hope you have a wonderful day, because today is a good day to have a good day. Bye!